special right triangles. And there's only two special ones. Well, there's more special ones, but they're only focusing on two special ones today. And that is our 45, 45, 90 and our 30, 60, 90-degree triangles. They're really special because they preserve a ratio between all of the sides. Each side has a specific ratio to the other side. So all we have to know is one side, and we can actually get the other two sides if I have a 45, 45, 45, 45, 90, and a 30, 60, 90. So let's talk about the 45, 45, 90 triangle first. So in a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the hypotenuse is always, how did I put it, square root of 2 times bigger than the legs. It is square root of 2 times larger than the legs. And just real quick, a 45-45 triangle is going to be isosceles. It's good to pick that out because any isosceles triangle, any isosceles right triangle is a 45-45-90. So it is an isosceles triangle. So any right angle that's isosceles will be 45-45-45. So anytime we're solving a 45-45-90 triangle, we're going to label it kind of like this. So first of all, let's just note some stuff. Our hypotenuse is always the one across from the 90 degrees. Our legs are always going to be the same size because it's isosceles. Legs, leg. Probably should just put leg, not legs. I think the easiest way to do this is anytime you see 45-45, label it just like I'm going to do here. I'm going to label each leg as S because they're the same size. S and S. Then I'm going to label the hypotenuse square root of 2 times larger. So that's going to be S square root of 2. And then we'll put up here that S is our leg length. So until you get good at these, I would always label it this way when you see 45, 45, 90, and I'll show you how to do that with actual values. So when we come down here, we're supposed to find the lengths of the missing sides. I gave you one side. I gave you 45. I gave you 90, which means this has to be 45 degrees. So this is a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. As soon as I recognize this 45, 45, 90, I'm going to label my sides. I'm going to label this side S. I'm going to label this leg S. And I'm going to label this as S square root of 2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate the number. So I didn't even locate the side number. I'm going to locate it now. I'm going to say, well, one of my legs is 5. So that means S equals 5 in this case. So we can immediately say that S equals 5. Well, if S equals 5, then S square root of 2 is going to equal 5 square root of 2. That's all the information you need from a 45-45. Because if I have S equals 5, I have this length. And if I have S squared of 2 and what that equals, I have this length. So now it's just writing down that AB is going to equal S, which is 5. And our length AC is going to equal 5 square root of 2. All right, my next one. I'm going to locate, well, it's 45, 45, 90 again. So anytime it's 45, 45, 90, I'm going to label the legs S. So I have S. I'll label this one as S. And the hypotenuse I'm going to label as s square root of 2. So now I'm going to locate which side I actually know the value of. I know the hypotenuse. So I'm going to set up an equation that says s square root of 2 equals 4. So s square root of 2 equals 4. So I pulled that from here. Now I'm going to solve it. I'm going to solve it for s. So I'm going to divide both sides by square root of 2. So we divide both sides by square root of 2. And we're going to end up with s equals 4 divided by square root of 2. But we can't leave it like that. We need to multiply the top and bottom by square root of 2. Which is going to be 4 square root of 2 divided by 2. We can simplify this to being just 2 square root of 2. So that gives me my s equals 2 square root of 2, which means my two legs have the length s, so they're both going to be 2 square root of 2. Yes?
So I was just wondering, because, so if we know that something times 2 would equal 4, so couldn't you, invert, square root of 8? If you do, square root of 8 times square root of 2 is 16. Square root of 16 is 4. 4 equals 4. Couldn't you invert that s equals square root of 8?
Yeah. I like this method because I just do it every single time. But if you have another method, there's multiple methods to do this. You don't have to label like this. This just makes it the easiest in the beginning. Yep. But your way definitely worked. All right, continuing on. I'm going to skip this one because we did 2 of them. How about you go ahead and do this one? You go ahead and do this next one. Solve this next one. You should, for an answer, come out with, if I have this one right, you should come out with BC equals 3 square root of 30 divided by 2, and AB should also equal that. And I said, well, my s squared of 2 goes to my hypotenuse. So I have s squared of 2 equals 3 square root of 15. Remember, we are not using calculators to get decimals. Instead, I'm going to get s by itself by dividing both sides by square root of 2. So if I divide both sides by square root of 2, maybe I should draw that step in there. Divide by square root of 2, divide by square root of 2. We're going to see we get s equals 3 square root of 15 over square root of 2, which is correct, but it is not simplified. To simplify it, I'd have to multiply the top and bottom by square root of 2, which I can now put that underneath the radical with the 15 because they're friends. And that becomes square root of 30, and we have 3 square root of 30 over 2, and there's no further way to simplify that one. Double check to make sure you can do that. Okay, continuing on. I'll put this back up there if you aren't done or can't complete it. We're moving on to 30, 60, 90 triangle. These are a little bit more difficult because the other ones are nice because they have 2 sides that are the same, and we just have s squared of 2 to worry about. All right, for this one, we are going to focus on the shorter leg. We're going to compare everything to the shorter leg. In a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the hypotenuse is 2 times as long as the shorter side. So it's 2 times as long. Nope, that's red. 2 times as long. So that means we're going to use 2 times whatever our shorter leg is. The longer leg is going to be square root of 3 times as long. As the shorter leg. Remember, the shorter leg is always opposite the smallest angle, or the 30-degree angle. So looking down there, we're going to label them, and then I'll kind of show you how to label them. So on the left-hand one, we're going to say, well, the one across from the 30 degrees must be the shorter side, which means the one across from the 60 must be the longer side. And we know the hypotenuse is always across from the 90 degrees. Well, we're going to treat this almost the exact way we do the 45, 45, 90. We're going to label every one of these this exact same way. I'm going to find my 30 degree, and I'm going to go across it, and I'm going to put that as S. Then to label my longer side, which is across from 60 degrees, we said the longer leg is square root of 3 times as long as the shorter leg. So my longer leg, we're going to label as S square root of 3. Because the square root of 3 times longer. Finally, our hypotenuse is twice as long, or 2 times as long, so it's going to be 2s. And then we'll do the exact same thing we did with the 45, 45, 90. We're going to label every triangle like that, and then we're going to see which side they gave me and see what information that actually helps me with. So let's look at our first example. Our first example has a 60 degree, a 90, which means L must be a 30 degree angle. If we go across the 30 degrees, that's the one I'm going to label as S. The one across from 60 degrees is going to be my S square root of 3. And finally, my hypotenuse is going to be my 2s. Remember, I'm not concerned about what numbers they gave me as long as I know it's a 30, 60, 90. I label it, and then I worry about what numbers they give me next. They give me this 14. They tell me ln equals 14. Well, that's my hypotenuse. I already said that equals 2s. So let's put those two things equal to each other. So we'll have 2s equals 14. That's pretty easy to solve. Divide by 2 on both sides. And we'll get s equals 7. Well, if s equals 7, that means that mn equals 7. The only thing I have to get now is my lm. Well, my lm is s square root of 3. But we already know our s equals 7. So that's going to be 7 square root of 3. So that's going to give me lm equals 7 square root of 3. So although it's a couple extra steps, it's very similar to our 45, 45, 90 degree angle and how we solve it. All right, let's do one more together, and then I'll let you do one all by yourself. Our next one, we have a 30, 60, 90 once again, because they gave me the 60 and the 90. I fill in the 30. I say the one across from 30 degrees is going to be my S. The one across from my 60 degrees is going to be my S square root of 3. And finally, the one across from the hypotenuse is just going to be my 2s. Now I look at the fact that they gave me the side across from 30 degrees. So we actually already know what our s equals. Our s is going to equal that 2 square root of 5. I always do my hypotenuse next because it's just 2 times s. So 2s is going to equal 2 times 2 square root of 5, because I'm just going to take that 2 square root of 5 and replace it for that s, which is going to equal 4 square root of 5. So if 2s equals 4 square root of 5, that means ln is going to equal that 4 square root of 5. That's one side down. Our next side is that s square root of 3. So let's write that down. S square root of 3. I already know what s equals. S equals that 2 square root of 5. So we're going to go ahead and plug it in for that s. So we are going to have 2 square root of 5 times square root of 3. Well, let's go down this train here. So we have 2 times, underneath the radical, let's put the 5 times 3. So now we're going to have 2 times the square root of 15. What one was going to have you do next? So there's no way to simplify square root of 15, so that's just our answer. S square root of 3 equals 2 square root of 15. S square root of 3 goes to side LM. So LM is going to equal 2 square root of 15. Any questions how I did that? Any questions how I turned it off? Once again, you should come up with ln equals 16 square root of 3 over 3. And you should also have mn equals 8 square root of 3 over 3. See if you get